But we start off with the big wok, and I put some rapeseed oil in there. So I've got the temperature on high at the moment, but I'm going to turn it down to number 5 once it gets heated up. So I'm just going to wait till this heats up properly, and then I'm going to put the onions. I've cut up 3 medium-sized onions, sort of roughly. So we're going to obviously cook them for 5 or 10 minutes, which I can be show you on the video once we get so far. Once they're softened, then I've got some garlic paste here. You can obviously, it's better to use real garlic and chop it up. You just need like a spoonful, maybe. Tablespoon is it called? Yeah. And also I've got some ginger paste as well. Obviously you can just get a spoonful of that, chop that up, but I'm just using the easy way. So I've got those ready, and once I've got the onions softened, then I'll be putting a spoonful of each of those into it, and then just cook it a bit more for 5 minutes or 2 or 3 minutes. And then what do we do then? Let me just have a quick look at the recipe. Here it is. I've got the recipe, and I've also got instructions. So we this is 1 slice only, you know that. I just put 3 in. So we also, while it started cooking the onions, we also put a bit of salt on them. So we do the garlic and ginger, then we put the peppers in. But I'll just pause the video. Once we get to the pepper stage, I'll show you where we are, just to give you some idea. Here we go. So I've dropped a little bit of onion in, and it's fizzing. That means it's hot enough to put the rest of the onions in. So here we go with them. So I've got all the onions in now. So I'm just giving them a bit of a move around, get them coated with the rapeseed oil, and let them break down a little bit and soften a little bit. Probably takes about 5 minutes maybe. But I'll come back in about 5 minutes once they're a bit farther forward. Just keep them. This wok's really useful because it's pretty big. I think it's a 14-inch, they call it, something quite big. And nothing sort of flies out, which is what I wanted really. And because it's got the handle at the other end and the handle this end, then I can lift it with both hands as well. So when it's got something in, it's not too heavy to lift. Okay, I'll just pause it a second. I'll come back in a moment. So I'm just softening the onion still. This isn't the sort of recipe where you can just stick something in a pan and just walk off. You need to be a study really, just to keep on top of things really. Make sure everything's ready, make sure it's looking alright. So I'll show you the recipe again, just to show you the ingredient. I bet you can read all that. I typed it all out. And then once you've got them softened, then we put the garlic paste and the ginger paste in there, a spoonful of each. And then we also put in some tomato puree. It says 1 tablespoon, but I put in a bit more really. I'm not too mean with it. So after we put in the tomato puree, the garlic paste and the other one, then the next step is to put in the peppers. I've actually chopped up today 5 peppers, 5 largish peppers. I suppose they might be medium size, medium to large anyway. So I'll show you those. Once I dollop them in, I can come back and we can have a look again. I thought I'd just come back and show the onions. It's time to start do the garlic and the ginger. You can see there's little bits of brown bits, so you've got to make sure it doesn't burn. That's the thing to keep in mind really. Plus I've turned the temperature down just a little touch. So let me get those pastes in. I think this recipe is quite dry the first half, so it will tend to burn if you don't keep an eye on it. You can see already that the pan is going brown at the bottom, but we don't add any liquid till a bit farther forward. So I think the next stage is to get the peppers and put those in, and the tomato puree first of course. I've put the peppers in, and I've actually used 3 of these basins. I've chopped them up, as you can see, quite small, but I've got 3 basins full of all 3 colours. So I'm just going to give these a whisk round, keep them moving, stop anything burning. you got to have those start cooking for 5 minutes, and then we're going to add I think it's the spices next. Yep, once you have the spices within 2 minutes, then we're going to add the chicken. Let me just stop this and whisk these round. As I mentioned, you've got to keep this moving really, because it does get dry on the bottom and will tend to burn. So you can't leave it, you can see down there. But it will tend to burn if you let it get away from you. So the thing to do is just keep on top of it. The next stage is to add the spices, which I've got on a little plate here. What have we got here? It says curry powder, chili powder, pinch of turmeric. I've added some garam masala as well, about quarter of a tablespoon I suppose really. So next stage is get those sprinkled in. Let me just get rid of some of it, 2 secs. So the spices have been added, and as you can see everything's coated with the spices, with everything really. So next stage is the chicken. The chicken is about half a kilogram, which is about roughly a pound, and I've chopped it up really small because there's no need for big chunks. This goes in next, which I'll just show you as I go in. And the idea of that is that we need to coat everything. We need to coat the chicken, and we need to get the chicken sort of coated and also sealed. So still we don't add any liquids. We just need to mix in the chicken, get everything mixed up together. So as I mentioned before, the wok, it's really useful having quite a large one, because you've got lots of room to move really. And this will serve about 5 people, I would say, depending what you're having with and how big a eaters they are, but 5 is usually suitable. You can do it with rice, or even the other day I had it with spaghetti for a change. A spaghetti bolognese with a difference. You can see that the meat is getting sealed now. So here we go. So once you're in 2 or 3 minutes, you'll see that the meat is pretty well sealed. You can see I don't think there's much. Oh, there's a bit over there that needs a bit more cooking. So in 2 or 3 minutes hopefully. Next stage is to add a bit of liquid. Let me just go and get hold of some, then I can just show you what I do. Yeah, the chicken itself needs just a little bit more really, just to seal it. You can see it's well coated with everything anyway. 2 secs, let me just go and get hold of some water and stop this, pause it a moment. Here we go. So my next move is to just add a little bit of water, just to let me just put the water to one side and give it a whisk, just to coat the bottom. You can see there's just a little bit down the bottom. So I just try and get it all a bit more organised. Let me just pause it 2 seconds while I just get this in the middle, as I'm right-handed. I stick a few of these fenugreek leaves in as well, maybe now and maybe a bit later. I just get a handful really and sprinkle them around. I'm not so sure how much effect they have, but I just give it a dollop now and maybe a bit of a dollop a little bit later. So let me just whisk this around a little more, and then I'm going to add a bit more liquid. Let me just pause. Next stage is to add the tomatoes, which you can see I've just sliced roughly. I've actually got 2 dishes of those. Today I think maybe I've put too many peppers in, and maybe today I've put maybe a few more tomatoes in than I normally would do. But it doesn't matter anyway. It all helps. Let me just try and mix these up. So I'll just pause you a moment. As you can see, I've added more water, which I've just got in a dish here. It's probably 400 ml so far. I might add just a touch more. You're not going to you're not trying to cover it or anything, but you just want it close to the surface really. So if it was there, that's fine. That's plenty. I'm going to cook this for at least an hour anyway, so that everything gets a chance to absorb the flavours, whatever there might be. I added some salt with the herbs, maybe a tablespoon, but I don't like to overdo anything with the salt anyway. So as I said today, I think I've maybe overdone the tomatoes a little bit, and definitely overdone the peppers, but what does it matter? So I'll just leave it uncovered like this. I might just maybe that might be enough liquid there. You can see all through the dish, you can see the liquid, and I think that might be enough. Usually I turn it down now to let me just have a quick look on my little doodles, maybe down to the 2 or 3 depending, and then I don't really come back and look at it until like half an hour's gone or something. Then I just give it a stir around, really, make sure nothing's there's no problems in there, and then I'll leave it for at least an hour, maybe an hour and a quarter. So I'm just going to now we've got it boiling, let me just turn this down. I think I'll maybe turn it down to 2, and then just in half an hour see how it's going. Really, you can always turn it up a touch more if you want to, but the idea is that you give it a chance to absorb all the flavours. See, it's looking alright as far as I can see anyway. So you just want everything, because obviously the liquid's a little bit's gonna disappear anyway as it's boiling, which is what you want really. You don't want it, the meal isn't that it's going to be floating around all the time. You just want a bit of liquid at the end, not a soup and not a stew. So I'll leave that for half an hour, and I'll maybe just end the video here. I think that's if you've got any questions, just ask them at the end really. And this is the rest of the recipe. I don't add in these Birds Eye Chillies, and it mentions half a tomato, but I've actually put about 6 in there, which I've sliced up. I don't have the coriander because I don't have some handy, although I would do. Fenugreek I've just given 2 handfuls really, or 2 maybe 2 spoonfuls of it, 2, 3, yeah. And the chicken I've added actually 500 gram, and not into chunks, into small little pieces really. I didn't wait 10 minutes. I just until once I got the chicken sealed, then I started adding a bit of water really, just a little bit of water just to get it. So I don't think there's anything I've missed on there really. Hopefully you can read that fine. Yeah, any questions, just let me know. I don't mind helping with it, but it is, I call it chicken Jalfrezi, but it's like chicken Jalfrezi with a difference really. Okay, hope you try it anyway and enjoy it. It tastes quite nice actually, and you can put it in the freezer as well. What I tend to do is I tend to get some plastic bags, and then actually put some in a plastic bag and put it in the freezer. Then you can eat it in next week, week after, and it tastes alright anyway once you defrost it over a day or something, and then just either microwave it, which I do, which takes like just 2 minutes or something, 2 or 3 minutes, and then it's ready to eat with spaghetti or rice, whatever you like really. So that's it for today. Okay, bye.